there's a lot to go over with the 7th episode of 86, but yeah, quite a doozy. And I guess we kind of assumed a lot of this stuff already. It's just we're finally getting confirmations on a lot of these particular things. But a lot of little reveals outside of that, even still. The episode kind of opens up with Lena recalling a lot of conversations she's been having with the 86, them basically telling her to stop. Even if she wasn't there, they would still be carrying out their missions. There's really no reason for her to be there. And she's just going to struggle with the situation overall. And all this is kind of playing through her head as she is in the midst of the Alba celebrating this revolution that happened several years prior. And so you're obviously getting that contrast with them struggling out there and dying while everybody here is celebrating and acting like everything is perfect and nothing is going wrong. There's even one point where she's asking them, wouldn't it bother him to hear the voice of the dead, essentially? And one of them is basically, I think it may have been Anju, it might have been Corinna, I'm not sure exactly who it was, I forget, was basically saying, it's better that we just get blown up, that way it's just ended really quickly. We've seen people with, skin tore off, guts spilling out, limbs missing, dying excruciating pains, so this is nothing new to them. They've heard the screams of their fellow people, so hearing the voices after death is nothing new. We also get a quick glimpse of essentially this box that Lena has been keeping as being full of past comrades. Her cork board is missing a lot of people. They are losing a lot of people at this point, and this is starting to kind of set up for essentially what's to come, and that is the aspect that they're essentially being sent here to die. And that's what comes to realization later. Kurina was asking Anju if they should actually tell her, maybe she would leave them if she just knew, which is, yes, they are being sent to this one location because apparently this is where all the squads get sent to prior to them reaching their point in which they would be, I think it was 5 years, when they reach that point in which they would be allowed to re-enter the 85 districts is getting really close, especially for Shin. So when they get close to that end of their service, they will be sent to a place where they're basically executed. It is a place where there is really nasty legions, there is no hope for survival, and this is essentially where they're sent to, and they know that. They know this is coming. This is the time which we're basically being executed. We're being sent into somewhere. They already said before they know it's not a base. They know it's a decoy. They know they're being sent to their death, and that's comes really clear when they get there, and even before they get there, they're losing a lot of people, and when they get there, it's just a massacre. There is long-distance artillery fire happening that she doesn't even know what it is. Lena doesn't know what this artillery fire is. It is extremely fast. It is just knocking them out left and right, and then that's when they finally revealed to her that, look, we're here because it's our time's up. We have new juggernauts. We have new equipment. That equipment's for the people that are replacing us. We're done. I almost thought this is the point where they were going to go, when they were saying they had to tell her, I thought that was because they were referencing the lack of reinforcements. I thought this was the point where they were going to tell her, look, there is no reinforcements because we're the last of what remains. But apparently there's still some cadets behind them that can replace them, even though it kind of counters to what they were saying before where they're running out of people. If they're running out of people, then why would they be executing the remaining people? So I don't know, that's a big question mark they kind of left there, unless they assume that, yeah, they're running out of people, there's only children left, but maybe the Empire still believes they have plenty to, reach that point that the machines that they think would shut down, which again, Shin is saying otherwise, that they're not going to shut down. They're replacing their current equipment with our brains. So pretty impactful scene though. She's like, if you know they're sending you to your death, then why you been fighting this time? They're like, we knew back when we were still in the camps and not fighting yet. Our sisters or whatever were sent out and nobody makes it. Nobody ever gets to go back. And she's like, well, why you keep fighting? That doesn't make any sense why you would keep fighting. Why would you not just turn on us and just attack us? And like, yeah, we could have easily just let the Legion go by us and slaughter you guys, but they would probably die in the process. But in what essentially their reasoning is that, they've experienced the good and bad of both sides. They've mentioned before where they've experienced terrible people in the 86. They've experienced terrible people in the Alba. And just being treated like scum is no reason to become like scum. And so they've chosen to fight. They've chosen to survive. They've chosen to keep battling all the way until the end. And that's their reasoning for what they're doing. So very interesting point. This is kind of in the wake of us finding out that apparently Anju has markings on her back. We assume is probably from another Alba. It could have been. I guess it could have been from an 86 as well. But yeah, it's pretty significant little scene there. A nice little kind of bird to the whole system. The idea that we're gonna keep fighting. I mean, you think that you're controlling us and telling us where to go, but we're doing it because we want to do it, kind of thing, which I think is excellent as well. But definitely puts them in a really bad spot. We're running out of people at this point, so we'll see. But yeah, like I mentioned before, we did see a brief scene with Anju and Kurina in the showers. And Kurina basically points out, you usually coming here alone. Are you okay with me being in here with you? And apparently she showers alone because she has this marking on her back. And the reason why she grew out her hair was to cover up this marking. And she said that she knew Daya knew that she was growing it out to cover this, but he still said, you're growing out because it's pretty, right? What I seen from that marking, it's very brief when you see her hair move. The one line of text says, or of scratches in her back, the permanent scars in her back, says RE''S, and the lower part that we get to see is AUGH and probably T. It looks like there's a cross for the T. Not quite sure what the Re's would be, but I'm assuming the second line is Juggernaut. And that would probably be, maybe she was abused sexually and maybe somebody put their name, ''S as possessive, and then Juggernaut, like she's their Juggernaut. They ride her all the time. That's what I'm assuming where that direction's going. That I can't even think of any other reason why they would have Juggernaut written on her back or something possessing, unless it is implying that, which I think is absolutely horrible. And again, I don't know if they're implying that was an Alba that did that to her, or if it was maybe possibly somebody in the 86. Again, implying the idea that both sides are terrible people. Yes, the main focus for a majority of this show is the idea that the Alba are using the 86, but they're still trying to hit heavy on the idea that, like with Kai, she was, treated really poorly from the 86 because she was a different race to even them. And so it's kind of giving this impression that despite the main focus being the war being forced upon the 86, mankind as a whole is full of terrible people, but it doesn't keep you from focusing on what you want to focus on: survivals, being good people, having fun, enjoying the time that you have, especially when they know their time is so limited. Especially now we find out they're basically being sent to their execution. Kurina, even also in this shower scene, mentioned that while they were talking about telling Lena essentially what is going on and that would make her stop, she did mention the idea of like the job of the Reaper himself. She was mentioning the idea that they can be comforted in the idea that they know the Reaper will come and deliver them despite them, falling. The idea that Shin will go and execute them and carry them forward. He'll take a part of them with him. But she's troubled by the idea of who will carry Shin in the end. If he's carrying everybody else, who will carry him? Who will carry the Reaper to the place that they seek? Which I thought was pretty impactful as well. It is kind of scummy to kind of get a hint that Jerome, despite telling Lena that they will get reinforcement and that he's already working on it, that he's technically deceiving her in the idea that he probably knows that the reinforcements are going to be there to replace the current group, and he knows that she likes them and wants to help them. But again, that goes back to the idea that in this mindset, like with Annette, there is a huge divide between what Lena believes and what everybody else believes. They believe these are pigs, and they don't understand why Lena is so attached to them. Well, granted, Jerome knows because he knew Lena's father, but to kind of allow this deception even to her is really kind of crappy, but it is what it is. Like I said, that is that divide that they are technically trying to draw there between the two of them. I also really like the ED. The ED was pretty impactful as well. It kind of had, it was essentially 3 shots, 3 stills, over the music. And when the music ramps up, it starts off with obviously Lena's hand reaching out, very dressed up. Obviously the one that she wore at the party, reaching out to somebody, reaching out to the 86, claiming that she's not going to let anybody die. It quickly when the music ramps up, it quickly frames to what would assume is Shin's hand holding a gun, firing off, obviously executing somebody mercifully, and then switching back to her hand being fell down. So pretty symbolic, I guess, message there. The idea of the dressed up, pretty safe versus the execution that's happening at the same time. So really, really heartbreaking there. But I think that pretty much covers everything. Like I said, just them being out there. Technically Shin did, for a brief second, I guess, feel the presence of his brother. So I'm assuming the huge cannon thing they show at the very after cast part is probably his brother. So I'm guessing we'll possibly see them go head to head next episode. It kind of seems a little early at this point because we're only so far in, and we still have, like I said, another core to go through. But I mean, it all depends on what kind of storytelling they have going beyond that. They could solve the issue with the brother and then go straight into the Alba and trying to somehow stop the Alba at the same time. So, but we'll see. But that's my thoughts on this episode of 86. I hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. If you did, please leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. If you think my theory on Anju's, I wouldn't call it tattoo, scarring is. And yeah, as always, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video if you can. And I hope you all enjoyed, and y'all take care.